One of the most difficult questions that we have to field at Johnson Law Firm is, how do I communicate with an ex while co-parenting? Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you have both parties that are very amicable and they truly keep their children's best interests at heart. Other times you have a very high conflict or contentious divorce, and that's where the communication gets a little bit more difficult. One of the things that you want to be very careful when you communicate with the other party, especially in writing, is what you're saying. You never want to disparage the person, you never want to insult them or threaten them. And the reason for this is it's likely to end up in the court file and something the judge may consider later. If you're unable to communicate effectively with your ex through general texting channels, there are apps out there. One of them is Our Family Wizard. These are apps that can be court monitored, and usually when the other party believes that this type of information may get in a court file, they tend to tone down at least the tone of their text. And so one of the things that we like to recommend to our clients, if they find themselves in this situation, is to try to get the other party to agree, or if they need to, go into court and get an order that some of these parenting apps are used to not have such a conflicting divorce. So co-parenting apps, I think, are a very useful tool when you have two parties that cannot communicate effectively otherwise. Now, that doesn't always work. I have personal experience with these apps where it doesn't matter that the other party believes that it may be read in court. They continue to use the apps in a very derogatory or harsher tone. But I think that's the anomaly here. For the most part, in our experience at Johnson Law Firm, if you're not able to co-parent effectively through normal texting or verbal channels, an app is always an excellent alternative. So a question we get often at Johnson Law Firm is, how do I set boundaries with my co-parent? From my personal experience, it can be very difficult, but it's not impossible. I think clear communication is key. You need to let the other party know what you're willing to talk about, how you're willing to talk about it, and that you're not going to be insulted or stepped on. And I think as long as those clear channels are communicated effectively early, you have a much better chance of having effective communication with the other party. So another question we get is, what if your ex is completely uncooperative? Ultimately, if your ex just simply will not co-parent with you and will not be cooperative, you really have pretty limited avenues to pursue. And usually the avenue that we see our clients take is filing a motion. What happens when you file a motion is it actually gets the court involved. The court will hear both sides of the story. And if the court determines that it truly is a problem with one of the co-parents trying to communicate, they will order them to do certain things to make the communication more effective. If you have any further questions about communicating and co-parenting with your ex, please give Johnson Law Firm a call. We fight for families and their fresh start.